All right. Um, get back at some questions since being back from Austin. So first off, the update on retatrutide. Yeah, I'm still on it, and no, I haven't increased my dose. I'm at 1 milligram every week, and it's doing fine. I've heard from other people suggesting to split the doses to be like you can do it every day shot or every other day or twice a week. So far, 1 milligram every week really helps me. There's no slowing down of gastric emptying, no constipation, no bloating, no acid reflux. It's not messing with glycogen retention, so I still get pumps in the gym. I still have my strength. It's not impeding on me not getting enough protein in or carbohydrates in throughout the day. I don't eat a lot of fat. Like I don't add fat. I don't add avocado or any oils. Whatever is in my food, that's what I eat. So this allows me to get more carbohydrates in and utilize that for training. So my body's been responding very well, and I'm back at training lightly since I've had my surgery on the first. And no, I never came off retatrutide uh, before my surgery. Didn't have to. It was a very quick admission. They got me in less than 7 days. Um, so again, like I wish I had more days off of fish oil before having surgery because then I could have probably prevented that hematoma. But it is what it is. So I don't plan on going up in retatrutide. I'm still at 1 milligram, and I'm not using it for fat loss per se. Recomposition, yes, which will make the fat loss better, um, like more better as far as like more conducive to my goals. So my goal is to recomp my body, try to get some of my weaker body parts to grow, and the partitioning of the nutrition, like how my body uses the nutrition I put it in, it's like amplify the effects, right? Because my blood sugar is under control, insulin production under control. There's no fatigue throughout the day, but I also don't have that food noise. So there's no deviating off of my diet. So my diet is 100% whenever I'm here at the house, even whenever I just got back from Austin. I made smart food choices. Like it was a company event and they had food catered, but I went with options that still allowed me to have low fat because places you use oil and butter on everything, right? So just be very smart with your food choices. Get the meats. Don't really get a bunch of dips or like these salads that sound healthy, but so like if it's like a kale, whatever fermented salad, they probably have a lot of some sort of like dressing or macadamia, probably not macadamia oil, like maybe coconut oil or olive oil in it. Um, I just avoided those things. Just go with things with the least amount of ingredients. And again, depending on what business you're in, my company that I work with is very health conscious, and so it's a more all natural, regenerative, organic foods choices is what they try to. But we did have like a day of barbecue, but I didn't get the mac and cheese. I didn't get all this crap. I just got a little bit of coleslaw, uh, and then what was it? Green beans and turkey, and then one thing of brisket. Like I didn't want a lot of brisket because there's a lot of fat, and you can eat less of the fat that's on the brisket that you can see. So pretty simple. And again, the retatrutide really helps that food noise. So is what they're calling it, but just the addictive personality. It's really helping reduce anything that I have an addiction to, and I'm just able to focus throughout my day and not have to worry about it. And I don't have like these low drops mirroring effects of dopamine. So I'm again, I know they're using it to see how people can overcome smoking and maybe I would say like eating disorders and other like alcohol reduction. And they used to use kratom for that, but kratom works on the same opioid receptor, and I think that, in my opinion, when you start playing around with that receptor, you start to gain an addiction. Same thing like with marijuana, THC. There's an addictive process to it. There's an addictive process to a lot of things that we have. And some is habitual and it's for our benefit. But if it becomes to where it's mimicking the same effects as the thing you were coming off of, I would not do that. So the for me, the like a food addiction, it's making me not want to binge or to eat sugary foods. So uh, I'm assuming the gut microbiome is rediversifying. So I'm not really sure what all is going on with the retatrutide, but again, doing that 1 milligram, not going up, and my wife is doing it as well, the same dosing protocol as me, and it's working really well. So we'll just get blood work on her later on after she's been on it for a month, as she's only been on it for 2 weeks now. So we'll see. Well, actually, probably about 6 weeks. We'll get some blood work to see how it helps with the cholesterol. But that's the update on that. Um, but so we had a question about the best form of cardio to do, and it comes down to really what you're going to be most compliant with, right? So a lot of people will have joint pain, um, or the lack of the equipment, right? So if they're at home and it's, let's say it's snowing or raining outside, just weather that's not conducive to walking outside, right? You can if you want to, and uh, and kind of go through the weather and survive it, which totally possible. A lot of people do it, but like so, if you don't have room in your place for for a treadmill or a stair mill, uh, I mean, you can get the foldable treadmills, but they do have a weight limit on it. So if you're above 300 pounds, usually it won't work, and it doesn't really have handrails and such. So you got to be uh, coordinated. And a lot of people, they tend to grab hold of the treadmill handles and hang on to it. Um, but bikes are a little bit easier to get to kind of set inside your house. They do weigh more, but I prefer a bicycle. But then when you have surgery like me, you can't sit down on a bike, so you just got to kind of waddle your way around. But that's only for a few months, maybe to weeks. I'm not sure, depending on the surgery. But for me, it's just a few months. Um, I won't be able to ride our bike that we have here, and like a spin bike, a stationary bike. So, but going back to like the best form of cardio, so it really depends on your goal, right? And then what type of cardio. So, what this person, there's someone that said they can't do the bike because it's bad on their joints, like it hurts their knees. No, like the bike is very low impact. So you have swimming, which is non-impact, right? It alleviates joint pressure because you're in the water. Then you have the bike, and then you also have walking upstairs, and then you have or then you have elliptical walking upstairs. I would say elliptical and walk and like the stair mill uh, are very close as to impact. They're low impact, but then you have treadmill. That's a little bit higher impact, depending on the type of treadmill you have. Some of them have the the belt and the system that has like a honeycomb system that's able to to take that shock and reabsorb it, almost like how runners' shoes are. So it really depends on the quality. So if you want a good treadmill, you're going to spend some money to get some that reabsorb the force and the shock so that it's easier on your knees. Um, but the bike is very low impact. Same thing with stairs. The pounds per square inch that are on your knees is very low. When you walk downstairs, then it's higher. It's very high. So walking upstairs, easy, right? But then it comes to the point of what conditions do you have? So do you have arthritis? Do you have ligaments that are very like stretched out that you might need to have surgery on or scope on? Like, are you overweight? Do you do you not know how to walk correctly? So like walking upstairs, maybe you're placing your maybe your knee travels way behind your toe. So you want your knees to travel to the toe, right? So it wants to be a straight line when you're walking upstairs. If you have it too far back, now you're really focusing on like hamstring, glute, but then also that does apply a little bit more load on the joint of the knee, and it'll depend on uh, so you have different areas of the knee. The same thing with your ankles. If your ankle has poor mobility, then it's going to travel up your leg and give you knee pain as well. So this gentleman who said the bike hurts his knees, he's probably either you're pedaling wrong, um, or you're sitting like you didn't set the height correctly, and so either there's too much, your angle is too large, or it's too small, and so that's forcing you to either overextend, uh, or not extend enough to get that revolution. So walking upstairs, treadmill, I would say your feet are a big importance of this as well as far as impact on your knees. If you're like, I see so many people with kind of like waddling like ducks. Like if their feet are like pivoted, you want your feet to be straight, and you don't want to have. And again, the more you focus on this, the better your Q angle is going to improve, so that there's not so much um, bow-leggedness. If you focus on that, you're going to start strengthening other tendons, ligaments, muscles to support the bone structure and reconfigure it. And so you're manipulating the way that your body is going to be able to walk. The more you pivot your feet and kind of keep it like this, the more knee pain you're going to have, the more ankle pain, the more hip pain you're going to have, the more lower back pain you're going to have. So if you keep walking like a duck, or sometimes I see people with one foot like this and then the other one straight, and they keep walking, that again, focus on your feet when you're doing cardio. You'll notice, and then sometimes, so clean that up, right? Walk straight. Learn to walk straight. Um, and the other thing is shoe size, like feet size. Sometimes if you have larger feet, it's going to be harder to do the stairs. You're going to always have to be stepping on your toes, tippy toes, which then again is going to fatigue that teardrop of your quad. So you might become a little bit too pre-fatigued before your workouts, or pre-fatigued for the rest of your day, depending on when you do your cardio. Now, the other thing is, that's just information for the just for cardio for health, right? For fat loss, now we come down to high intensity interval training, which spikes cortisol. So you wouldn't want to do it that often, but it also can waste away muscle if your diet is not 100% on point, along with your training program. And then you have lists. So a long interval, steady state. Uh, so in prep, I would prefer a more steady state. The longer, the better, right? So if we're looking to for fat loss and to free up fatty acids to for using it for energy. So we have to be able to unlock the fatty acids from the fat cells and then detach the glycerol and triglycerides from that fatty acid and utilize it as energy. If we don't use it as energy, if we cut our steady state cardio too soon, then it goes back into the fat cell. It just reconnects. So um, I think that's it on that one. So really, it just comes down to what do you have available to you. And whenever I say like steady state for a longer period of time, I mean I'm looking at like 30 minutes or above. It seems to be able to really liberate that fatty acid from the fat cells to use as a source of energy. Um, and that could be fasted or non-fasted. I prefer fasted. I think that fasted, we get a better overall look to the muscle, better recomposition. I got a freaking pimple. Been wearing a hat all last week, so it's like the brim and the sweat sucks. I don't remember the last time I had a pimple. Um, so, anyways, kind of got off track. Pimple distracted me. Um, I think I said enough. But yeah, like the 30 minutes to 45 minutes. If you're doing hit cardio, I mean, 5 minutes, you know, you can do like a 1 minute all out, 3 minutes slower, 1 minute all out, 3 minutes slower. You keep doing that for like 6 sets. Or you can do, because you can't really do all out for 2, 3 minutes. There's just no freaking way unless you're an Olympic athlete and you got some cartering and T-ball on you. But yeah. Um, okay, I had another question about is is HGH worth it by itself, or do I need to have using another peptide or steroid with it? Now, I would say, from my opinion and just looking at it, the mechanics of growth hormone and like why you're doing what you're doing. If you're using it for longevity, 2 IUs, depending on your age, usually above 30, like above 30, 35. And again, depending on blood work, it's all relative to you. 2 IUs to 4 IUs is going to be great for longevity, plus like body recomposition, maybe help with fat loss on you with a good diet. Um, Better skin, better hair growth, nail growth, um, better recovery. So, and sometimes it helps you sleep if you take it at night. Some people have a negative result with that. Sometimes it keeps them a little bit up. I'm assuming that's the HGH converted IGF-1, maybe spiking blood sugar a little bit too much, and they kind of get that result when going to bed. It's almost like a catecholamine result. Um, so like a glutamate response, which can be more excitatory. So that's probably what's happening with that. You can take it in the morning, fasted. If you do that, and you're going to go do fasted cardio or fasted workout because that's what you love, do it intramuscularly. But if you're going to go to bed, do it sub-Q. Intramuscularly, it's going to be like peaking at like maybe 40 minutes to an hour. Sub-Q can like 2 to 4 hours, depending on your metabolism. Um, so I prefer, if you're trying to get huge, you're trying to build a lot of muscle, you use HGH plus an anabolic. So an anabolic steroid, it helps you build. Anabolism, build. Catabolism, breakdown. So use it with, testosterone as a base. Testosterone and masteron plus HGH, I think is a great stack to do. Now, the amount of HGH is really how much can you afford. If you're looking to add mass, I would say 6, anything above 6 is a necessary, and do it every day. Every day. I mean, you if you want to mimic what your body's doing, but at a super physiological state, your body always produces growth hormone. Right? So do it every day. But again, it's 6 or more. 6 is the minimum, and that's if you're a good responder and you got some really good uh, growth hormone that hasn't been denatured before adding or before like reconstituting. So um, if you want to make it easier, just do a whole bottle. So that's 10. Usually they come in 10. Uh, like it's 10 IU. So yeah, that's and I really want to focus on peptides to get huge. Peptides, in my opinion, are going to be more for a recovery aid and like what's your purpose? So typically I see recovery and it's like Apamaran, CJC. That's going to be more recovery. Now you can use some more expensive ones like Mast seems to be able to help with muscle growth, uh, MGF, but really you're spending a lot more money on them to get it trusted and a good source. If not, then you're just injecting uh, dead peptides, and maybe you inject, maybe you reconstitute it with something that's not acidic enough or too acidic. You want the acidity to be able to make sure that you're getting the maximum amount of peptides per injection because you don't want anything sticking to your glass vial. So those were from emails. Um, Next, DMs. This guy is asking about doing a push-pull leg split, but doing it 6 days a week. He's 43. My kids just got home. Um, I don't know what they're doing. They just got back in the pool. Now, I mean, do I think this is a good idea? It really depends on like the load and the volume of how much you're going to be doing and how many variable exercises. And definitely, if you're doing with legs, 6 days a week, that's twice a week. You got to split it up quad and hamstring day, and then do like quad and throw in your adductors on one of those days, and then calves on the other, and then next week quad and calves, hamstring and adductors. So you got to play around with it, but it's how much volume can you handle? If you're 43 and you're not on juice, then I'd say you might be in a place for beating. You might not be able to recover as quickly. So I don't know. Uh, you don't need 6 days a week if you can't recover from it. So do what you can recover from. Let's see. Would you run a cycle without test? Red, so many golden era bodybuilders have done this. No, I wouldn't. Um, the golden era people, they lie a lot about what they took, and it's really whatever they can get their hands on. So if they didn't have any tests available, then they would run some type of 19 nor. But they got what they could afford and what was out there. Right now, we're spoiled, and we can get a lot of things from around the world. I don't think it's a good idea. Test is best. Test is king. That is what builds the muscles. Um, uh, keep struggling with bodybuilding and work, plantar fasciitis. Um, you got to go see a podiatrist or is orthopedics and get an X-ray to see if there's any calcification rubbing up against your fascia, and you got to get a boot on if boot regardless of if there's calcification or not. You can get it some Graston done on there. You can do a cross ball. It's kind of like physical therapy. You got to really break down the fascia, stretch it out, and maybe you need to look at what type of shoes you're wearing, how you're walking. Does your, you know, again, going back to the foot thing, like how are you walking? And that's probably causing the plantar fasciitis, I would say. How much does your ankle sublux in? Um, yeah, you just go get it checked out. Podiatrist or orthopedics, sports orthopedics would be my opinion. But you gotta get off of your foot a little bit, wear that boot around, and you'll be fine. Let's see. How long can I run 300 testosterone cypionate and 400 masterone and anthate if blood work and BP is good before dropping down to TRT? That's not much more than TRT, man. Um, why are you going that low if you're trying to do a blast? I mean, have you done 300 before? Because you can keep going until you get negative side effects or you surpass expectations. I mean, if your TRT is probably around 200, right? So why don't you go to like a 600 test? And you don't want your, I'm not the biggest fan of having master above test. Um, it's a lot of GHT. Uh, I would say, if you're trying to do this, I would do 500 test, 300 master and see how that does. Um, and then you can go back down to 200 test and 100 master. Master seems to be able to help with estrogen related effects, but even though your blood work might show that you have a higher estrogen, it feels like you like maybe a 60 or 70. It feels like you don't have high estrogen at all, and that's even on an ultra sensitive test. So, um, never run trim before, and considering it for the last 8 weeks of prep, which would be a good idea to run it low dose, 75, 75 something PW in the first 4 weeks, then 8 weeks off before bringing it back. No, if you've never run it before, pin it every day, 10 milligrams every day, trim ACE. Since you don't know how you're going to respond to it, trim ACE is a shorter ester. So if you have negative side effects, you can pull it out really quick and it gets out of your bloodstream longer. Trin and anthate is going to take longer to see any results. And then once you see the results, those side effects come in, and then it's going to take longer for it to leave the body. So those side effects are going to stay longer. Just run it 8 weeks and see how you do. 10 milligrams every day. And then after 2 weeks, you can go up to 20 milligrams every day and then 30 milligrams every day and see how you do, man. Um, and start your P5P right now. P5P just to help with any of these progesterone progesterone side effects, but it's like it's more of like a I don't know, it's like if you have those problems in the past, you're gonna have them worse, but it seems to be like an estrogen progesterone type of deal. Um, yeah, just have to get started on that P5P like a week or 2 weeks before starting that and do like 200 milligrams of that a day. Okay. So it's a lot of money on P5P. So it's a B vitamin, by the way. So you can get it at a vitamin shop or Amazon. Do you think all pros must use insulin? Uh, Thinking about trying it, but only if it's going to make me grow. Um, yeah, there's a lot of people that utilize insulin, long and short acting. So like Humulin and Lantus. But like, will you grow? Yes, anabolic, but you can also grow fat, right? Um, I'm a believer that it grows visceral fat pretty easily, and then it may retain, like you may throw off your electrolyte balance. You might be a little bit more fluffy, holding water more, depending on the diet that you're on. But this can also, like, if you're not having blood sugar issues before, like right now, with the food that you're eating, then don't go on it. If your pancreas is fine, it's working fine. You use insulin whenever you start seeing your HbA1c, creep up towards 6. You start using it whenever your blood sugar on a daily basis, waking up in the morning, is above 90 or like not above 95, above 100. Um, if it used to be like 70, right? So yeah, then you start doing it because you're able to handle more food and shuttle that nutrition, but it's not a necessity, and you can screw your body up pretty fast as far as like how insulin resistant you stay, and then really the recomposition of your body. So to me, people say tren is the last resort. No, I think insulin's the last resort. Because even with HGH, that doesn't make you insulin sensitive. Like I'm not insulin sensitive at all. And I don't go high on my HGH, so maybe that does have an effect. But from what I hear from others, and seeing what their results are, who are very honest, it doesn't have a negative impact. It's only if you eat like like you're not on a diet. So stay on your diet, stay on your food year round. Doesn't matter if you're in off season. Don't eat a bunch of crap, and your insulin should be fine. Um, have you ever used test and mass before? Uh, we're thinking about test, mass, Winnie, and Clen. 300 test and mass, is that enough? Or do you go 500 Winnie, 50 every day? Um, I don't know, man. I mean, it depends on what you've done before. So, like, have you been at 500? Have you been at 300 tests? I think test in contest prep, yeah. I mean, I would do a 1-to-1 test to mass. Usually, I'm not doing a 1-to-1 though. If I'm running 500 tests, I'm running uh, for me, I'm running 200 mast, 250 mast because I don't have that. I don't have a problem with aromatization from test. If I did, I would up it to like 500 test, 300, 400 mast. Winnie, I mean, I would do 50 every day for the last like 6 to 4 weeks. It really depends on how it makes you feel. If you, because it kind of gets you that dried out, like the dry joints, due to like the corticosteroid receptors. Um, but yeah, man, it's really up to you. It's if I would always titrate up very slowly. So like if you're doing 300 tests, and you never gone above 300 tests, uh, I would go to like 350 and then 400, and you can do this. Uh, I mean, I would do it like every 2 weeks, go up because it does take a little bit of time for your body to adjust. All right, that is it for me today. I'll go check and see what's going on in the living room. All right, if you have any more questions, just send them to uh, my link tree. You should find my Instagram. Jeez, can't think. My Instagram fit.dad.lifestyle, and I can answer them for you.